This conference will now be recorded.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, in the name of Him who is our Redeemer, Liberator, Savior, and our Lord, whom I hope and God knows. I pray that you are continually serving every day and not simply on Sunday. Again, this is the day the Lord has made. We will and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad to see you on today. Thank you so much, those of you who supported us on the last roundtable discussion. It was fantastic. Thank you, people from around the United States and world chimed in, and we're just so grateful that you're on. As you know, I'm Reverend William, the pastor of the historic Lynch Street Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. So without any further ado, we're getting ready to get started on another exciting night. I want to present the psalm and introduce to others one of our persons here. She's chimed on here. Her name is Sister Shelly Gladney. We're going to ask Sister Gladney. She happens to be the president of the young adults of the Lynch Street Young Adults of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. And she has been, along with the young adults, doing some awesome sauce things as it relates to going into this election in terms of getting us out to vote. Without any further ado, my brothers and sisters, again, let me introduce the psalm and present to others the distinguished president of the young adults of the Lynch Street Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, located at 2175 John R. Lynch Street in the historic capital city of Jackson. None other than the likes of Sister Shelly Gladney.
Good afternoon, evening, everyone. I am just so excited to see so many people joining us this evening. I'm excited to have Representative Clarke on with us today. And I just want to thank Shanta for all she has done to get this going. She has really been working hard to get us the information that we need so that we can know what we need to know for this important election. So I hope you all are ready for an exciting, informative conversation tonight.
Dr. Chet.
Well, awesomeness. Thank you so much, Shelly, for, again, being our most gracious president. And again, I want to thank Representative Alyce G. Clarke for coming on and speaking with us this evening. Representative, I thank you so much again for taking, time out of your busy schedule to gather with us this evening and just really dialogue with us and just really get us in the know about voting, not only in this election, but any election that comes about. So, did you want to greet us with anything before we get into the questioning and dialoguing?
Unmute. Okay.
I did. I finally got. Sometimes my fingers don't move as fast as they did some years ago. But I was thank you, and I want to tell you what an honor it is for me to be here with you, and I'd like you to know how much I appreciate all the things that you're doing in this community, and especially as it relates to this upcoming election. I was so pleased when I came by the other Sunday evening to see all of those young people out who were getting registered to vote and getting the others and seeing that their families were, and who seemed to have understood so much as to how important it is that we get out to vote.
And we were so happy to see you as well. We was like, oh my gosh, we didn't realize that we were going to get Representative Alyce Clarke and Senator Shelly Norwood to join us that day. We were very excited to see you. And we, like I said, again, thank you so much for all the support that you've given to us over the years at Lynch Street. And like I said, we most definitely welcome you anytime that you are wanting to come. So I guess just getting into the question part, since we kind of, already did that nice little segue there, why do you think voting in this particular election is so important for us?
For those of you who've been listening to what's been going on and what's happening around the world and in Mississippi, you can easily see that it is more important this time than it's been in years, because every time we vote, it makes a difference. And don't let anybody tell you that your vote doesn't matter. It does matter whether you vote or not. It determines the amount of services that you get for your state. That's how we get the services, based on the number of people who vote from your state. So we could miss so many things. We could actually miss getting another representative if we don't get out and vote. So I'm asking everybody to go out and vote. Now, don't just get registered. It doesn't do you any good to get registered if you don't vote. We've known a number of people who have gotten registered but didn't ever go vote. You gotta go out and vote to make it count.
And speaking of making it count, like, how does our vote, whether it's on a local level or a state level or a national level, could you speak more to specifically how does each vote in those particular arenas count? So for a local election, how does someone's vote count for them, or state or national? How does it go about counting?
How do we go about counting them? Or how
How does it work? How does people voting, how does it work? How does it count?
Well, what happens is that, of course, that based on the number of individuals who vote, that's how we determine the number of representatives, the number of senators, the number of the others that we get. So that's one of the basic things is we have to do, be careful about how we're doing and what we're doing. It determines the number of services that you get based on that. Right now, we are in the process of getting ready to get a president. And we know that we need to get a president who cares about us, one who is concerned about us, concerned about the things that we'll need. Therefore, we'll have an idea of how that individual will work for us. We need somebody who's going to be willing to work with and for us. And that's, in my opinion, is how we make it count.
All right, thank you. So after election day or after any election, how should one go about getting involved if they want to, go beyond the voting process? How do they go about getting involved in the community after any kind of election? What kind of activities do you suggest people participate in?
I think that everybody needs to be involved in their community. That's one of the better ways to do, is to be involved. If you don't have, for instance, if you don't have a neighborhood association, go out and start your neighborhood association. You need to make sure we're doing something for our neighborhood, that we're doing something for our schools. We're one of the states that have more churches than probably any state in the United States. But we need to try to find out actually what is it that we are doing as a church. Let me tell you something that I did that doesn't have anything really to do with this, but the churches don't have to pay taxes. And every time somebody see a building empty, what they do is that they go out and get that building because they get it tax-free. That we lose money for the neighborhood. And what I introduced a bill that would say before you can be approved to be a church in that area, you must say what it is that you're going to do to improve the neighborhood in which you are establishing that church. But it didn't get out of committee. One of my colleagues told me, "You trying to get unelected and get me unelected too," because I was doing what I thought so many of the other people wanted to be see done, because we need to be working in our community. And I'm saying that every church needs to be doing something. And that's why I admire so much what you all do, because you can see what you're doing for the neighborhood. And I'd like those others who might be listening out there, I want you to know that Lynch Street has been nice enough down through the years to provide a home for Pecan Park Neighborhood Association. And so far, they haven't charged us 1 penny for the usage of that. And for that, we thank you, because that organization works to try and keep the neighborhood clean. We try to do everything that we think needs to be done. And we have a couple of ladies with us who will make sure that we try to see what the services are that our elderly need and that the youth need. And friend, I just want everybody here to know, and across the state and the nation to know, if they just had one friend in their neighborhood, they would see a lot of changes and a lot of different things. And friend, we thank you for all of those things that you've done and that you will do to help us help ourselves.
All right. Now, don't let me just be the one to, ask all the questions. If we have any questions from anybody that has joined us, please feel free to chime in. Or if you look towards the top or anywhere on your screen for the chat section, you can most definitely put any kind of questions that you may have for Representative Clarke in the chat section. But like I said, don't let me be the only one asking questions. But specifically, with the involvement that you were saying, so if you do not necessarily have specific activities within your community that you can be a part of, is there like a resource that you could possibly log on either on the web or search for on the web for activities to get involved specifically in your community or your town that you could recommend to us?
Well, most of the areas have a world, not a citywide or a statewide organization, and most of them will allow us to participate with them until we could establish one within your area. Now, it's always better to have one in your area. And yes, you can go online and find out what the services are that are available. And most of them would be more than happy to get out there and work with you. And I'm really encouraging all of you to work with our youth. Work with our youth, because it appears that somewhere along the way we might have forgotten to do what our parents did. Do any of you remember how when you were growing up, your neighbors were your other parents? If your mama wasn't at home, there are certain things you didn't do because Miss Lady was next door. And if you did something, you knew that she just might tell your mama. And when your mama was told what it was you had done that you should not have done, you would remember it for a long time. But now we don't sometimes know who our next door neighbors are. We need to, I think, get more involved with knowing who our neighbors are and getting involved with our neighbors and doing things with our neighbors that way. And especially now that we're having virtual school, so many of our children, it appears, might be left to sort of raise themselves to a degree. And we need to make sure we work with the schools as much as possible and parents who need some help. There might be a few parents who need some help, because I know just like I needed help today to get everything going with this computer, there are some other parents and grandparents who need to know how to do certain things for their children so they can get things done. And it's I guess not easy, but it's good for us just to be good neighbors in doing things that we need to get done.
Dr. Chapman, if I may ask this wonderful giant question or two. I'm originally from Mississippi, up in DeSoto County, but I moved around a bit. But I've just read so much because I'm an avid reader, and was so much that I've read that's positive with respect, and I'm saying with respect to you, Representative Clarke, coming along in your day, being the first African American to start dealing with the chambers and dealing with everything in that state. Would you, just for the sake of some people who may not know it, since this goes around the world, could you, just for the sake of those persons, sort of bring us up to date as it relates to you basically cracking the nut, if you will, to get in this kind of politics that you're in? Tell us about your incipient and embryonic stages of that.
What was the last thing you said?
Bring us up to date on how you started in this process. We know it wasn't easy, so just give us a little background of how you got to where you are as it relates to the representative.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you asking me that, Pastor. I'd like you to know that I have been in the legislature since 1985. And I was in the legislature not on my own. It was the neighbors. What happened was that our representative was appointed. He was an appointed judge. And as a result, we had a vacancy. Then somehow the neighbors got together and decided that they knew somebody in their neighborhood that they thought they would like to see become their representative. And what happened was that I talked to some people about it. My husband talked to somebody. He went on the corner and asked them how would they feel about voting for a woman, because at that time, since there had never been a woman, he wasn't too sure how he would feel about a woman being there with all those men, is what they were saying. But I talked to him, and he talked to some friends and neighbors, and they started meeting at my house about that. And I told them I had to go ask somebody, and I made one call. That call I made to was a lady up in the Mississippi Delta, to tell her what they were trying to get me to do. And I said, Mama, let me tell you what they're trying to get me to do. Do you think that I can do that? And she quickly told me, baby, haven't I always told you, you don't know what you can do unless you try. And baby, you haven't tried that. So I went back and told the group, I said, I guess we're running. And I say that because I want the young people out there who might be listening to know that you don't know what you can do. You might not have tried it, but you can try it and it works. And that's how I've been there. Now, Dr. James Anderson was the one who was instrumental in getting me to run, and I was working at Jackson Hands Comprehensive Health Center, and I knew a lot of people there. I had tried to help a lot of people there because I was their director of nutrition services, and I see people now who still remember that he says, you know, I'm the one you tried to help me lose weight, but you see, I found more than I lost. But it's still, there were those people who I worked with at the health center who remembered the kind of things I tried to help them do. And when it came to election, they got out and worked for me. I didn't have any money, but they worked free and they felt good about it. And I really think that those individuals who get out and work and don't charge your arm and leg it's more meaningful to them when you get there. When I got there to the legislature, there were 3 women in the legislature. And of course, all of them, 2 of them, would you believe, were home economics teachers. 1 was a science instructor. So they were all teachers at that time. And that was good. It says to those out there who are thinking about they might not want to be a teacher. You can still be a teacher and do a lot of other things. I taught home economics, and that's something that a lot of you out there have never heard of. I've been trying to get it back in the school system, because in home economics, we teach people how to get along with each other, get along with your family members, get along with people in the neighborhood. And with what's going on in our neighborhoods, we need more of us getting along with each other better than we are. And I think that's the kind of thing. And that's just how I just started. It wasn't my idea. It was the neighborhood. I never thought anything about running for any office or anything. It was just somebody in the neighborhood who thought that I had done a few good things that I might do pretty good if I went to the legislature. And I've been there a few years, since 1985, more or so. And I just want to tell you about it. There are a few bills I've been able to get passed. You can't get all of the bills passed that you want. There are some of them I'm really proud of. The IB program, that was one of my first bills. That's at over to Jim Hill. And once I got it going, they wanted to put it in their neighborhood. I said, no. I worked too hard to get this bill passed for you to take it to your neighborhood. One of the other ones that I'm really proud of is called drug courts. I don't know if you ever heard of drug courts. Drug court is where you sentence people to treatment instead of prison. And I'm doing that because so many of us get in trouble with drugs. And once you get in trouble with drugs, you can't vote, you can't get a job, you can't do anything. So those are just things that we need to try to kind of get still once I thought. So we've been working with that. So those are just a few good things that hopefully. And recently, for those of you who don't know it, I was trying to do something for the schools. And what it was I was seeing that other states had lotteries, and what they were doing, a number of them, you can go to school free in states where they have the lottery. But as I was working on that, trying to get the lottery going, our roads became so bad that I said, well, it appears that we're going to have to fix the roads so we can get to the schools. So those are just a few of the things that we've done. And what I do thing is I try to work with the community to make sure that the bills I introduce are things that they would like to see. So that's just a little, if that answers your question at all.
Okay, hello, hello everyone. I'm just asking a question on behalf of my grandmother. With the election this year, how is the ballot made accessible to our elderly and our handicapped citizens who aren't, able to get out to the polls and vote? How is that process being handled this election year?
Well, you know that if with your grandmother's age, she probably will be able to, anybody, if you're 65 and older, you can do the early voting. And most places, they have curbside voting. But what happens is that with curbside voting, you just let them know that you're there, and they will let you vote with her to make sure that she gets everything covered on that ballot. So that's, that should be ideal. So there will be no excuse for any of us not to vote. Please, what's your grandmother's name?
Reverend Barbara Martin.
Miss Martin.
Barbara. Yes, ma'am.
This is Barbara.
Yeah. Barbara.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Barbara, I've known Barbara a long time. Barbara and I worked together years ago. And Barbara is a minister right down the street. And I know there's no reason for you not to get out. If you have any problem, Minister Martin, if you would just please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to
Okay.
see that you get where we need to go.
All right. Thanks.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And young lady, while you getting your grandmother out to vote, don't forget to vote yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Me and my 5-year-old son will be at the polls early that morning. He gets him a
Okay.
my bad
Thank you.
vaccine.
Thank
So
you. It's good to see both of you.
yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. Thank
yes,
you.
Let me just ask a question because that prompted something the young lady said. And I heard you say, Representative, are you saying to us that if we have a grandparent, a great grandparent, etc., and they need to vote, are you saying that we can go ahead and take them to the poll, and while we're there, we can vote as well?
That sounds yes.
On election day.
Yes. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And thank you for asking me that. And that means that we can get a number of people done that way. And
Thank
also
you.
when we talk about
I'll keep my mouth closed a minute, but I did see someone raise their hand, Dr. Chapman, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I did see her raise her hand. He raised his hand, excuse me, and that was our distinguished pastor there at Young Chapel, the Reverend Johnny Smith. He raised his hand earlier, and he was about to say some Reverend Smith.
No, I was just wanting to tell everybody now, because I was working, I'm going to be working a poll, one of the polls, but the in-person absentee, I went down yesterday around 1 o'clock. There was nobody there. And anybody that is 65 and older automatically can go. Or anyone who has any type of handicap, they automatically can go. And for everyone else, I walked in and I just told them, they asked me why. And I just said, hey, I got to work that day. And they said, okay. And so there was I was in and out in about 15 minutes. So in-person absentee is going on until the 31st, I think, and or maybe the 30th. So if you want to go down, no waiting, lock your vote in early, get it done.
thank you so very much. We appreciate that. And we need to remind anybody else who's out there, we definitely need to, because we need to get out as many as we can, as soon as we can.
And Representative, that deadline, just to make sure that we have that kind of in order, the absentee deadline is October 31st. Am I right?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. All right. So October 31st. Hello, everybody in the virtual space. October 31st is the absolute deadline for absentee voting. So please, if you need to go ahead and get out and vote, make sure, absentee wise, go ahead and make sure you get that in or done, completed by October 31st of this year. I do have enough.
I was gonna say the drop dead date is 31st, but I've been telling people 30th. So if I said 30th, maybe they would encourage them to get on down that a little faster.
I know it would be. It's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. I do have a question that somebody kind of wrote in, and they were asking, why is it that our people can see what's going on in society, but choose not to vote? Do you feel like it may be a generational thing, or do you feel like it's just a laissez-faire, I don't really care kind of attitude?
I guess, unfortunately, I think we have not worked hard enough trying to get our people to understand how important the vote is. And with that in mind, there's a number of them say, well, you know, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't, so I'm not going to go. But I just want to ask those individuals, can you look at how other people, the other races are doing? They are there early. They are getting everything done, making sure that they are seeing that their people get whatever it is that they need. So I just want to encourage all of you to encourage everybody that you know to please go out and vote. And when you look at the prices that have been paid for the vote that we get, see that you all don't know, but I remember when we were not voting, we couldn't vote. They didn't let us vote. But once we started voting, once some of those individuals never missed a time. My mama was a teacher and was afraid to vote because they had been threatened. They were going to lose their jobs if they were to vote. But it is not like that anymore. We need to vote so we can keep a job, so we can get a job, so we can get a better job. But for some reason, I'm not really sure what it is. We are reluctant to do the things we need to do. But if enough of us encourage everybody we know to go out and vote and try to let them know how important it is that we go out and vote, I think we might see a change in the numbers.
Okay. I
There,
have
there is something, Dr. Chapman.
mhm.
There's something by Sister Hazel, Lonnie Hazel, that's on here that explained the marijuana issue on the ballot. She just chatted. Sister Lonnie Hazel explained the marijuana issue on the ballot. That's her question to you, Representative Clarke.
She wants me to explain the marijuana issue.
That's what she says in the chat room.
Okay.
Explain marijuana issue number 65 on the ballot.
Okay. Well, if she wanted me to explain it the way I understand it, I would tell her vote yes and then vote yes again. And I say that because with the marijuana, if we were like so many other states had made it legal to have marijuana, the medical marijuana and the other marijuana, those are some additional funds that we could make. And for those individuals there are so many individuals who have health conditions that could be helped by the use of marijuana, the medical marijuana. So what we need to do when it comes to that, in my opinion, is to vote yes and vote yes again. We're voting yes to help somebody feel better. We're voting yes to get some money for our state. And I think that would eliminate some of the problems that we have as it relates to the use of marijuana.
Dr. Chapman, are you seeing the chat?
Yeah, I do. I see it. I see it.
I apologize to you. No, I really do. I apologize as long as you see in the chat because she's still not clear. As you see, she's confused, and there's Brother Anderson that can tell her about the 65 and 65A. He's on there today. So I apologize. I'll keep my big mouth shut. I didn't realize you could see the chat. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think what she was really getting or wanting clarification about is that there are two different initiatives on the ballot. There's a 65 and then a 65 or A or alternative. So what's the major difference between the two, and how is it? Maybe I'm not sure if she was wanting to vote yes for the initiative for the use of the medical marijuana, which portion to kind of check off as a agreement or a disagreement. And hopefully, Ms. Hazel or Mr. Hazel, I am getting that correct. I hope that's what you were asking.
Yeah, but Brother Ronza Anderson is on. He can certainly explain it even further.
What do you say?
Okay,
I think Ronza has gotten off for a second.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask the same question. I was going to ask the question of the senator. The representative go ahead if she can explain that. But let me take a crack at it. On the ballot, there are 3 measures. And ballot measure number 1 deals with the medical marijuana. But under that particular measure, you have 2 other options that says whether to go for. It says vote of either initiative, and then there's another part that says vote for one or the other. That's the confusing part. If you agree, in my opinion, if you agree with the medical marijuana, you want to go ahead and select the for approval in 65 and not 65A. 65A, in my opinion, give some other things to the legislature to go ahead and do what they want to do with it. And then vote for one, but you want to look at vote initiative measure 65 if you agree. If you don't agree, you go ahead and select 65A. Now, I hand the floor for Representative Alyce. Come on.
Can you hear?
Okay.
It's a little fuzzy this time, Brother Anderson. You were on the first time we saw your picture was clear, but it was very fuzzy this time, so that the people, not only us, people around the nation can hear you. So if you could go up, come up.
Do I sound a little better now?
Are you able to speak directly into the mic, Brother Anderson?
Yeah, I had to change computers. And
Oh.
I couldn't get no volume on my computer, so I changed computers.
Okay.
I will attempt again, but if we can't have the representative go ahead and explain it, would be better, I guess. I can't really get my volume to work properly here. So I'm going to try a different computer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, while
The camera off.
Yeah, cameras.
well, while he's doing that, speaking of the ballot, Representative Clarke, how should we go about really just dissecting our ballot or just trying to understand the ballot when we do have sample ballots available? What resources could we use to, like I said, get further clarification about what certain initiatives may be on the ballot and what's actually being voted upon on those particular ballots, and it's specifically people that may be running for different offices? How do we go about locating any kind of resources to just, like I said, get further clarification on what's actually being voted upon?
Well, I think that you can go with the I would say that you will go could Democratic Party if they've had some ballots that they're passing out, but then for both of them, I don't want to be just Democratic, but because you might think I'm a little biased if I say that, but they have the ballots that are raised. You can look at them and read over them, and what it is that you want to. And then there are a number of churches that have been given ballots. If I know we're not in church, but there you can go by, call your church and see if you can come by and pick up some of the sample ballots that they have. Those are some of the ways that we can do.
At this point, everybody will be muted. We have about another 20 minutes. Everybody will be muted. Please unmute yourself when it's time to speak. Everybody will be muted beginning right now. Okay, Dr. Chapman.
Okay. And just kind of going back to the initiative with the medical marijuana, oh gosh, I don't know why it's like a tongue twister for me. Medical marijuana. I know. Just again, asking for clarity on that. The major differences between, 65 and then 65A. From what I understand, it seems that with 65, they have a specific amount of resources as well as just intent about how they want that particular initiative to go. And 65A kind of has like a, to be announced or to be a kind of a format with their particular initiative. Is there a particular website that we could go to read up on it, the major differences between the two? Or
it seems like that Rachel Myers
okay.
just gave us something there. Southern.
Okay.
Would you speak to that, Rachel Myers?
Hello. So Southern Echo is sharing just explanation on the two different ballot initiatives. We're not sharing with people how to vote on the initiatives because we can't do that as a non-partisan organization. But we did develop some, we hope, useful information in explaining the three different ballot initiatives that are on the on the ballot. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Rachel, do you have any further clarification on the major differences between the two initiatives, 65 and 65A?
No, I would prefer that people would look at that and read it.
Yeah.
Because
Gotcha.
my personal view, it leans into a choice, and I would rather not go there. But there's information available in that link that can share or shed some highlights on the 65 and the 65A.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Representative, I do have a quick question about your sentiments about involving the youth in, involving them in the community or whatnot. But how do we motivate them or, get the momentum going of why they should get involved in, local government or local politics or just, politics in general? And what activities would you suggest or that you've seen have worked with the either voter turnout in young Americans or just, momentum that is built with our youth when it comes to voting?
Well, we have done various things with, I think one of the things that I want to go back, we've given scholarships to people who have done a lot of things for getting out the vote and getting that kind of things. Now, I didn't mention it earlier, but the Legislative Black Caucus, we've done a lot of things with our youth, getting them to get others involved with various things. We've had competition between various schools as to see who could do more than the other. And it seemed to sound kind of like, now all of you know how it is with the Alcorn and the Jackson. You know how they've got this thing going on, who's going to win everything. But we've had some of them doing things with those kind of things. So if we could continue to get explain to them how important it is. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that getting before we get to that, um, I want to encourage those individuals out there, encourage your children to become pages. They have pages there all the time. And the reason is, if you're there being a page, you get to see how the bills are made, how they are written, how they are passed, and or how they are not passed, and you'll see how you really need to be there helping to make the changes occur. I don't know how many of you have had children interview, those that I could see. Have your children been pages at the Capitol?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was thinking about it as you were talking. I want to thank you, Alice, for using Sean, the young lady that was asking the question. She was so excited the week that she got a chance to do it and was able to say what was going on the floor. But it was a learning experience for her as well as a little money-making situation. So I want to thank you for those years.
That has been a very good way to get our children involved. And then when we do that, they can't wait until this time so they can see if they can be a page another year. But what I try to do, I try not to use the same pages over, because I think everybody needs to get a chance to see what is going on and how it actually happened. And then I'd like to thank you for sending me a good child. Sometimes we are surprised at how good our children are once they're there and once they see how things are being done. But thank you. And those are just some of the ways that we do to get our children involved as well. But I think there are other ways that we can come up with.
All right. Well, honestly, that's my first time ever hearing about a page, and I'm trying to, look at my mama like, okay, mama, why you ain't tell me about being a page, girl? What's a page? What's a page? Yeah. So what is a page?
Come out more. Let's push that a little further, because this goes around the United States, Haiti, Jamaica, and Africa tonight, and this in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. So we want to know what you're talking about. Is that an acronym, page? I admit my ignorance. What people need to do is admit. Ignorance does not mean dumb or stupid. Ignorance simply means not knowing. So I'm ignorant as it relates to page.
Me too.
So unignorant me. Tell me about it.
What the page does, each legislator has, if you're in the House, you can take 2 pages per year with you. And what they do, they are assigned different committees, and you work with those within those committees, that whether it's education or health or whatever it is, and you anything that the legislators need to help with while you're there, they help them to do that. And they get to really understand what the bills are about, what the bills will do. And they get a nice little check at the end of that week too for having done that. So it's been quite interesting. One of the other things that working with teens, some children, getting them involved, we've done something what we call teen power. And that's where we let the teens come and they act as legislators, and you'd be surprised at the bills that they come up with, the things that they would like to see done, the ideas they push. And as a result of some of the things that we have seen them doing and trying to do, there have been those of us who have taken their ideas and been able to get them through the legislature.
So is there like an age limit? And also with being the page, is it mainly like a summer thing? Are you able to do it throughout the school year, or
no?
How does that work?
Unfortunately, it's not that long. I wish it could be that long, but it's just for a week. It's just you're there you are with the legislators for 1 week. And that is it. And the age limit, I think, if I make no mistake, it says from 14 to 17. What they usually try to do is to get them either in the junior high level or high school kids to come for that.
And is it throughout the school year, or is it during the summer, or which time?
It's just during the time we're in session, and that's
in session. Okay.
It's just when we're in session, just that time. But then
so is that?
May I add something to that? Because of the agency I work for, one of the things, and unfortunately, you don't see as many young Blacks participating in the paging because of, I think it's, of being asked or being afraid to participate. It's a very knowledgeable. You work for a week during the session with that legislator who presents you as their pager for that week, and legislatures usually start whatever, it depends on the election of the governor, how long the session ends. So you there's a possibility that you can actually work more than one time if it depends on who asking you to participate. But I think one of the things, and I applaud Senator Clarke for making sure that people from her community is represented, because that's a learning process for the young Blacks. And they are between, I think it starts at the age of 14 and goes up to, you have to be still in high school to participate. You can't have already graduated. And it's during the legislative session. So you're talking about anywhere between 6 to 9, from 2 months to 3 months. There's a possibility that you could be a pager. But I think one of the things that, it would be nice if, and you can't go out and ask to be a pager. Your representative has to select you. But, coming from the north part of Mississippi, from Grenada, I don't ever have known a Black person coming from Grenada to represent that area as a Black student as a pager. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is, because, my county is considered as definitely a red county.
But when it comes to that, what I tell pages, students, I know that you may not get selected, but ask anyway. And I do that because, like Mama said, you don't know unless you try. And we do have a few of the red people who have selected blue to come with them. And it turns out to be good for them, a learning experience for them and for us. And thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank my son's senior year of high school. He had the opportunity to serve as a page, and thanks to Senator Norwood and Senator Horn at the time, they had him in, and it was a great experience for him. And we want to just thank you all for just having that opportunity for our kids as they come up. And we go. But sorry for my computer problem. I had to go find an iPad to get back on. So I don't know what's going on with the other two laptops. So,
but you're coming through loud and clear now. Yeah. And we thank you for loaning your son. Your son or your son. And who knows? He might be the next senator, the next representative, or what have you. And quite often, when you ask them, what do you want to be? They'll say that I'd like to be a senator. I'd like to be a representative. And see, like, I never had an idea of being anything like that, of what they did or anything. But it does help that we have a chance to let them see what it's like. And thanks each of you who've loaned your children to us.
Thank you. 6 more minutes, Madam Dr. Chapman. 6 more minutes, and you are our moderator. And we have a total of 6 minutes. We have roughly over 30 people have chimed in tonight. What an awesome gathering.
All right. So, with the page program, it seems like you have to go to like just a specific representative or a specific senator's page, or is there like a website that you can go to possibly apply for the page program?
You have to be a certain representative or senator's page. And
Okay.
then what we do, we look at the schools that we represent, and then we
Mm-hmm.
what I do is that I get pages from the various schools, and I try to rotate from school to school. I try not to get the same school all the time. Like if I have Jim Hill this year, next time I'll get them from Provine or the other Murrah, one of the other schools, so we can kind of rotate. But it has to be one of the legislators have to select the persons that they would like to serve as. And then what I've done quite often is that I have let them write letters requesting to be a page and letting me know why they think they would like to be a page. And, some of them have heard others talk about what a good experience they had in so doing. So we get these nice letters from them as to why they would like to be. And I really think it's only fair to try to rotate it from school to school and from child to child. And that's how but it is the legislator who decides who they'd like to serve as there. Because actually, when that person is there, they are actually representing you, and they are introduced, and they are told that they are whoever they are, and I'm representing Representative Clarke for this week.
Well, awesomeness. Do we have any more questions from the body before we get ready to shut it down? Anybody that wants to chime in with any final questions or comments?
Are you on, Brother Knapp? Are you on? Brother Baker, you're muted.
Okay. Okay.
Just thank them.
Oh, okay. I think
He's raising his hand, Reverend Smith.
I just wanted to go back, if you can hear me, I wanted to go back and kind of go over that initiative 65 one more time. There's the difference between 65 and 65A is that 65 would allow qualified patients who are certified by a licensed physician to use medical marijuana from a licensed treatment center. 65A would only allow terminally ill patients to use it, which means that people who have chronic conditions like arthritis who might be helped by using the medical marijuana wouldn't be allowed to get it unless they were terminally ill. 65A also allows the legislature to determine details, which includes possession limits, and they will also be in charge of tax rates as well. So that's kind of a difference, and personally, I would rather see anyone who has a chronic condition who could be helped be allowed to be helped. And so, for me, that would be 65. But that's kind of the major difference that stuck out to me in that initiative.
all right. Thank you so much, Reverend Smith, for your words with that. Okay. All right. Any more questions or comments before we get ready to shut it down? Again, we want to thank Representative Alyce Clarke for joining us. And I honestly did not know that, Representative Clarke, that you were a part of the IB initiative. I'm actually a graduate of the IB program. So thank you so much for bringing that initiative to Jim Hill for, like I said, you're looking at a product right here of Jim Hill High School, the IB program. So
Yes,
thank you
I
so
am
much again
so
for
glad.
that.
I am so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to know that. The thing about that IB program, and I'm sure you probably know, my son was in that first class. I don't know what year you were there, but the thing you had to do few things that you didn't have to do with the other. A lot of kids didn't want to be in it, but I said when your parents find out that you're going to go to college as a sophomore, that's going to save them quite a few dollars. They might want you to be in that program. So that's why I'm really pushing that with it. I'm so glad to meet somebody else who was in that program and somebody enjoyed it. The other thing I wanted to do was just take a moment and thank those individuals who were online with us who were from Blackburn. I understand that we had somebody from Blackburn. I think we had a principal or something. Thought that's where he said he was from. But anyway, I thank you for being here. And that gives you some ideas as to some of the things that we'd like to see our children do in the upcoming. I think we've used some junior high school children as pages, and they've done quite well. But as we close out, I can't overemphasize how important it is that we go out and vote, that we get everybody we can to go out and vote and do everything we can. The other thing is I want to remind you of something that we haven't talked about. It's not about to me, it does have something to do about the voting, and that is this virus is not playing. This virus is serious. I've lost quite a few friends to the virus. So everybody, please encourage your family members to wear the mask. You wear the mask when you're out because it does save lives. It does save lives. And anytime we can do anything to help somebody or save a life, I think we need to be doing it. I thank you so very much. I am more than appreciative that you all were kind enough to let me share this evening with you.
Thank you so much. All right. Pastor, do you have any?
What we want to do, thank you. Well, let's all give our hand, those whose picture we can see. I saw a gentleman by the name of Payne. He looked like a young adult. Brother Payne, are you there? His name was Kane. He was on almost the entire hour. But I did see someone.
Oh, yeah.
Brother Kane, are you there? Okay. But I did see someone with MM, and we don't want to leave without recognizing and respecting everyone because we want to come back, Sister Chapman, so you can tell us about the upcoming next week, the excitement about what you have going next week. MM is unmuted, so MM wants to say something. MM.
No, Pastor, this is Marjorie. That's fine, but I want to thank Ms. Clarke also because it is very important for our kids to do that. We've tried to take our children all the time, my children campaigning years ago, and now we take Garrison and Isabella to the polls with us to vote. I've even let him make the voting choices for me and put the slip in the machine for them to experience it all. So that is very important. That's the only way our kids can learn if we show them.
Thank you. Are there other persons on here that is not a member of this church? Ricky Jones, DeAndre Floyd, I'm looking at you. Would you just give us a quick shout out as to who you are around the city? Are you there, Brother Jones? What about Brother Floyd, DeAndre Floyd? Anybody else, could you? I tell you what I'll do is just in case they try to say something, we want to make sure that everybody is unmuted. So I just unmuted everybody. Not that everybody is unmuted, because there's something the person would like to say, because they may not have been able to unmute. Now you're unmuted, everybody.
I'm Jefferson. This
Alice
this is
Jefferson.
Joey Woods, Gail
Alice
Brown from Holy
Jefferson.
Temple, Gail Brown from Holy Temple Missionary Baptist Church and the Central West Haven Neighborhood Association.
Alice Jefferson. I had a question for representative regarding the ballot, and I'm trying to understand if a person is running unopposed and you choose not to select that person, is your ballot yet counted?
Your ballot will be counted, but my suggestion is that you vote for them anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Are there
I
others?
agree with Kate Chapel.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I would like to get a little bit further explanation on the initiative 65 and 65A. I just someone told me that you the way it's set up on the ballot, you have to initially vote yes and then pick the one that you want. Is that correct? So I'm just trying to get some clarity. This is Gail Brown. I'm with Holy Temple Missionary Baptist Church and the Central West Haven Neighborhood Association.
As I understand it, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Shelly Payne. I'm from Mount Olive, Mississippi. I belong to Point Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, and I'm on here representing Mississippi Asa Philip Randolph Institute, and I really enjoyed the session with Ms. Hart and all.
Thank you so very much. Are there others?
Pastor.
Yes.
Pastor, am I unmuted?
Yes, you
This
are.
is Lap Baker.
Yes.
Okay. Representative Clarke, I just want real quick, I've been trying to get this question in. When you mentioned about the virus, which was very important. However, the election commissioners wrote a grant. I'm quite sure you've seen it on TV. They received $1.5 million. And that particular grant was supposed to be, or is supposed to be, directed toward the election in terms of making sure that things are appropriately clean and everything else for proper voting. However, there are some supervisors who are trying to interrupt that, which I think is really inappropriate. And I just wanted to get your opinion about it because the election commissioner for Hinds County has already requested for the agency to rescind the grant, which is very unfortunate.
Huh?
I had difficulty understanding the rationale for that because I know we need to do as much as we can to prevent based on what the numbers that we have in our county. We need to do all the preventive kind of things that we can. And if we can get some help with it, we definitely don't need to be sending it back, in my opinion.
Right. I don't believe they need to send it back, but I don't think that the supervisors should be trying to get $250,000, for some parties or whatever they're trying to do, block parties. That's what I saw on the news. I'm not sure, but I just think that we have to be more involved. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, as you know, I remember when Dr. Aaron Shirley, Dr. James Anderson, Dr. Robert Smith, Dr. Frank McCune, Dr. William Truly, Dr. Gilbert Mason from Biloxi, Dr. Felix Nunn from Gulfport, and others, how Black folks used to meet, and you know this, and develop strategies for getting things done for blacks, and more specifically into the Delta, where they were insufficiently having medical doctors, where that is the majority of the black population for the state. But it also had a lot to do with Jackson High Comprehensive Health Center, where you were. So we need to get back to where we used to be, in my opinion. Now, I might be wrong about that, but I'm only speaking from what I saw when I moved back here in 1977.
I think you're right about it. At that time, it appeared to me that we did more working together. We didn't always agree.
That's right.
But when it came down to what was best for our neighborhoods, we worked together. And I still believe.
That's right.
And if you send anything I send out or anything I do, I say working together works. And if we would just
That's right.
get back to working together instead of fighting among ourselves, we would be so much better off.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not going to prolong this, but I just needed to insert that.
And thank you. As we get ready to close out, I see you, Sister Dorothy. We're going to say something. We have about 3 minutes or so, but we want to recognize persons that are not members of Lynch Street. Anybody else? We don't want to disrespect you because we're so grateful that you joined us tonight. Are there other?
Christ the King on Lynch Street, Genevieve and Kathleen.
This is Daisy. I want you all to know that the flag is on the ballot also. We need to vote for it.
What?
The tag?
We didn't hear you.
Flag.
It's on the ballot.
Flag.
I think she's asking you, what about the flag, Representative Clarke?
In my opinion, the flag looks good. Compared to the one we had, the flag looks good. Now, they're doing everything they can to try to see that it's defeated. But I would much rather fly the one that's being suggested than having the one, that rebel flag that we currently have been using. Because see, to me, the person who lose, they aren't the one who fly. When Alcorn beat Jackson State, or vice versa, we don't go around with that flag, with the other school's flag. So to me, it's the same thing. And they have studied it and they've done a lot. So I would just like us to vote yes and yes.
Thank you. Anybody else before Dorothy say something? We're getting ready to hear from our moderator to give us some updates for next week, and we're going to close out. Dorothy Longano.
No, I didn't have anything to say. I was just moving.
Okay, anybody else? We want to respect you before we turn it over to our moderator, and we close us out. We'll be closing out tonight.
Okay, back to the flag. When you said vote yes and yes, how is it positioned on the ballot? What does that yes and yes mean?
I'm not sure how it's positioned on the ballot, and what Representative Clarke is saying, because this does go all over the world and the United States, is that we're certainly not telling people exactly how they should vote, particularly as it relates to our 501c3 status as nonprofits. We can get in some pretty serious trouble on that. So we have to be very careful as it relates to distorting our 501c3. We will be giving some information out as it relates to some things that churches can definitely do without distorting, again, our 501c3 status. Okay, with that, Sister Dr. Chapman, would you tell us our update excitement for next week? And then we will close out this wonderful service dialogue today. Thank you, Representative Clarke. Dr. Chapman.
Thank you. Okay, and just a quick thing on the flag. From what the sample ballot speaks, you're just voting on the design, whether you like it or not. So yeah, that's the only thing with the flag. So you only vote in, yes, I like it. No, I don't. Okay. All right. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, thank you so much, Representative Clarke. We will be continuing on our Round Up Your Vote roundtable series next week, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we're supposed to have on Commissioners Zach Wallace and Commissioner Yvonne Horton next Tuesday. So please join us again. Please come on back, because we would love to see you all and hear you all and dialogue with you all again. Again, that's next Tuesday, October the 20th, from 6 to 7 p.m. And with that, I think that is it. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
And again, Representative Clarke, thank you so much again. And we wish you all the best on your future endeavors. And please come back again.
Thank you so very much. Representative Clarke, you're a wonderful person. I love the pictures behind you. And I love that you have behind you says vote for Joe, whatever that was for Joe. I don't know. All I know is there's a Joe that's running. All I know is that for me, that's a Joseph in the Bible, a Joe, a Joseph, a Joseph. I don't know. I just know it's something about a Joseph in the Bible. I'm not telling anybody who to vote for, but I do know the Bible has a wonderful word, a wonderful noun called Joe. I don't know. I didn't tell nobody who to vote for, but it's something about that Joe that just rings my spirit, that's inextricably intertwined in my internal framework of reference. So it's something about that Joe. All right, Sister Pinky, what were you going to say before we leave? Because you want to thank some administrators. What was that?
Okay, we just want to thank the administrators from Blackburn Middle School for being on with us tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. God bless you. And remember, keep your mask on, stay safe, and for God's sake, please, please exercise that 1965 right to get out and vote. God bless you and keep you now is my prayer. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, can't you see me?
Just sitting.
It should be.